I've had the absolute pleasure of working with people for years now, helping them open up their intuitive channel and hone in their intuition. I work with people from all over the globe, people from different walks of life and different spiritual paths. Over the years, I found that there is one common mindset that each individual who has been able to access their intuition with great strength and use it to love in ways they don't even realize they could all share. They all have one common mindset. And I want to share that with you today in hopes that it helps you really access even more of your intuition. When it comes to teaching individuals how to access their intuition, receive clear, concise intuitive messages, and communicate with guides and loved ones on the other side, and by the way, everyone can do this, okay? Everybody. Over the years, once you've taught enough people, especially people from different areas of the world, people from different spiritual backgrounds, you start to see a pattern, okay? And the pattern that I've seen that really feels like the perfect spot is the pattern of balance intuition, okay? I want to talk about that today. And I want to explain a little bit in depth so you understand what I'm trying to say here and what we're trying to achieve. And then I want to follow up with some techniques and things that you can do to step into that. Really, it's a mindset that when you can catch yourself and step into that mindset, the outcome is something that I can really explain here the beauty of, okay? Not only are the individuals I've seen who have approached their intuition with a balanced spirituality, accessing intuition on levels they never thought possible, but they are also experiencing life in a blissful state. All right. Things are processed, things are shifted for them. And the one thing that I'll hear most of all from my students who have been able to approach this balanced state is that they will never go back. Everything that they've learned at the school spirit has brought them to a place in their lives that they love so much and prefer so much that they would never want to go back to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago. Okay. I have to say that I'm in the same boat. When I started working with my teaching guides, um, especially one of them years ago, he gave me some tasks and I will follow. Sometimes I will go to an extreme because I'm like that. And he'll pull me back a little bit and tell me, hey, you got a little lost. You went a little too far. You need to, come back. Well, these extremes can be very tempting. I'm going to talk more, and I'm going to talk more about that today. They can also be like a security blanket, okay? Or identities that makes us feel good and make us feel secure. But these extremes pull us away from intuition on both ends. This is where balanced spirituality is the absolute perfect spot to be in to gain access to your full potential, to your full intuitive potential. So, first, I want to talk a little bit about your intuition. And you might have heard me say some of these things before, but I'm going to repeat them just in case because it's really helpful to hear them regularly. Okay. Then I'll talk about what these extremes are and how you can naturally fall into them. Finally, I want to talk about some techniques you can use to pull yourself back into the mindset of balanced spirituality so you can have more and can access more to your intuition. Ramp it up, get it stronger, and receive messages so clear that you'll be like surprised. Okay. So here's an example, and this happened just a couple days ago. And I practice balanced spirituality in my personal life. When I feel that something is out of balance, it's like a red flag, right? And I work on bringing it back into balance. So it's not about perfection. I'm never going to claim that I'm perfect. Far from it. Okay. It's about the action of being in balance and moving towards the balanced state. Okay. That's what we always want to be doing, moving towards being in balance. All right. So a couple days ago, I was doing some peel and stick wallpaper in the garage, not in the kitchen. It was anything, extraordinary, but there was a shelf unit above me with some tools, including an X-Acto knife. And as I was under the shelf applying the wallpaper, I got a very clear vision of the X-Acto knife falling into the crevice between the shelf and the wall and landing right in front of me. My human mind said, that's not going to fall. That's not going to fall off the shelf. No. But my spiritual side said, you really should listen to your intuition. So I did. And I leaned back a little bit. Then I watched the X-Acto knife fall down. It was like a tiny intuitive warning saying, hey, this sharp, pointy object is going to fall down in front of you. So you better move your toes. You don't want it to land there. While this may seem like an incredible small example, especially compared to the dramatics of TV, TV shows with their wow factor, this is what intuition is about. It's not just about getting these huge, deep messages, which you can get. Absolutely. You can sit down and communicate with your guys, talk to loved ones on the other side, and get life guidance, like with the important stuff. But sometimes guidance for your life can be as small as stepping back so that X-Acto knife doesn't land on your toes, right? And I wasn't barefoot, but I had sliders on, and I probably, my toes were, out there. And I probably shouldn't be doing wallpaper without shoes, but there I was. So this is about achieving an intuitive state where it speaks to you regularly, where your body, mind, and spirit are all in conjunction, working together to listen to the messages. Okay, even if it's just to lean back a little bit so you avoid even the tiniest bit of danger. And that's what it's all about. Little messages come very frequently. Signs come very frequently. And the bigger messages also come very clearly and frequently. All this happens when in what I call balanced spirituality. All right. So let's have a couple of little discussions around the concept of intuition. And I want to give you a refresher on this concept because you might, follow me and already heard me say this, but it's good to say it again. So intuition, don't come after me now. It's not a gift. Okay? Intuition is not a magical gift that certain people have and others don't. Follow me with this, okay, for a minute. There's no judgment in this, okay? If you pay attention when you're talking to me on the DMs and you talk about your gift, I respond talking about your abilities, not your gifts. Sometimes I say gift, but I usually don't, because it's not a gift, okay? When I open intuitively, I work with my spiritual guide, and in that process, I realized that if I can step into these levels of intuition with access to messages and visions that I didn't even think that was possible, if I can do it, anyone can, okay? And you do. This opened a conversation with my guides about why some people are really strong with their intuitions and some aren't. I hear people regularly say, I'm not intuitive, or I can do what they can do. And I myself watch, shows highlighting mediums and psychics, and I realize while some of these mediums and psychics are truly open intuitively, um, and have honed in their abilities, television is very well edited too, right? It clips down the moments and squeeze them all in together to make it look like it's just wow after wow after wow after wow after wow, right? It makes us think that this is something that it only works for some people, okay? And that's just not how it works. If the television show you the entire session as it actually happened, the entire hour, you will find that individual navigating their intuition, expressing things in different ways, making mistakes. But these little clips, they put all the hints together, okay? And again, I'm going to say that most mediums and psychics on television are the real deal. I'm not saying they're not, they are. They work at honing in their intuition. That's their job, that's their calling. They're coming into the world saying, hey, look what's possible for you. And I thank you. And I thank them all. Uh, Absolutely. I honor this. But then you have the editor behind the scenes, rightfully so. It's a TV show, that's what they do. Clipping things into a condensed version. While there's nothing wrong with this, it can leave people thinking they could never achieve that, or that is something special, not accessible to them. And this is not true. We all have this ability. That's why it's not a gift, it's an ability. We all have it. All right. With this said, I want to kind of step into the spectrum of balanced spirituality. Okay. I want you to think about a rule, like a ruler, not a rule, a ruler, right? And you have one end of the spectrum is the human experience, and at the other end of the spectrum, the spiritual experience, okay? Intuition is found the strongest smack right in the middle, okay? Between these two. And I'm going to give you hopefully a number of examples that you can grab onto this mindset and use it on your own for your own benefit. Intuition is the most balanced state. Think about a lot of the terms and phrases that you've heard over the years. For example, mindfulness. What does that mean? It means being in the moment, okay? Intuition is found in the moment. What's happening when you're in the moment? You're imbalanced. You're in a balanced state. You're not thinking about the past. You're not worrying about the future. You're in the moment. You're in a very balanced state. The less chaos, the less clutter, the less distraction, the more you can access your intuition. When I'm doing a mediumship reading and I'm talking to your loved one from the other side, I cannot be thinking about what I need to do, what I need to get from the store, blah, 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 right? I cannot be those are distractions. I have to be in this moment when I'm having this connection, okay? So I've been talking a little bit about, those individuals who struggle thinking about that they're not intuitive, and they're very far over the human side of the spectrum. They're anchored into their human experience, and intuition seems something that's very, very far away. I've met a lot of students, a lot of those students who feel that way. Here's on the other end of the scale, I've met students who have dove so far into the spiritual experience that they struggle anchoring back into the human experience. Both of these extremes distance you from your intuition, okay? That's why that's the point that I want you to see, okay? You got the spectrum right in the middle, strong intuition. One far and back of the scale, you got somebody extremely anchored into their human experience, and on the other side of the spectrum, you have somebody extremely anchored into their spiritual. Both of these extremes pull you away from accessing your intuitive channel, okay? And I can hear some of you say, well, if you go really far into the spiritual, you'll be able to access a lot, right? Actually, no. The most intuitive access you ever going to receive, you're ever going to have, is going to be done when all of your three bodies are in balance, okay? Even if that balance happens for just one moment, all right? So let me review the three bodies. If you haven't learned about these three bodies with me yet, here's a very, very quick review. And I talk about them generally because in every different culture and tradition and religion and spiritual path and all of that, there are different ways of addressing and talking about these three bodies, okay? So in a more general sense, I like to reference the three bodies as the spiritual body, which is your spirit, your physical body, which is your physical body, and your programming body, which is your mind in linear time, right? So you have a spirit, you have mind, you have body. When you are very anchored in the human experience, we are very anchored in the body. And this is different from being grounded, okay? Because it's important to be grounded to have strong intuitive experiences, all right? And the difference is not in the semantics, it's not in the words. Okay, what I mean is that when you're so focused on your human experience, it's hard to have intuitive experiences, okay? When you're so focused in your spirituality and in your spiritual body, you can lose connection with the physical body, also making it hard to have intuitive experiences. And if you, for example, been in very deep meditation and you kind of forgot about the world around you, that's a little bit what I'm talking about, you get a little kind of loopy. When you only think about your spiritual experiences and and your spirituality, and you lose track of your human side, okay? When you get really lost in the programming body in your mind, here in the time, that can pull us away from it as well, okay? The people that I have seen get the most clear, concise, strong, frequent, intuitive messages are the individuals who have consistently worked towards having balance in the scale, in the spectrum, who have consistently worked towards a balanced spirituality. Because both of these are happening to people that are so focused on their humanity, and then the others are way too far in their spirituality. I found all of these labels. I found all of these titles, and I found this guru, and I found this hierarchy, and I found this technique, and I found this pyramid plan, and I found this, and I found that. And there's a lot of words and a lot of different things out there. Why isn't it working? Why isn't it opening up for me? Well, I do believe that we have all these experiences, not only here on earth, but in different planes and different dimensions. There are different things. There are portals. There's all of that. Okay. But when an individual leans so far onto that end of the scale, all of a sudden their entire day, week, and life now revolves around these really heightened, sensational spiritual experiences. They are pulling themselves away from the very real human experience that you came here to have. Okay? If you wanted to be on the spiritual world the entire time, on the spiritual world, you wouldn't have come down here. You came here to have a human experience. Okay? So that makes you a little bit dissociated. All right. I had very intense spiritual moments. When I've been working with a guide, like, one time I was in the woods and it was beautiful. And in the flash of a moment, I saw layers upon layers of time. Okay. I could see the timelines. It was like a grid in neon colors. Like every different grade had different. Anyhow, uh, it's hard to even put into words. Okay, and it was a really intense moment. But at the end of the day, I got to stay balanced. I need to come back to my body because the goal of these experiences is not to stay there, but to have it, enjoy it, and then come back. Okay. Some people who are starting to hone into their intuition and they're experiencing a lot of intuitive moments, sometimes the human stuff will sneak up on them and the intuition will dull a little bit. And then they come to me, they reach out and they say, well, my intuition is not working anymore. I'm broken. Did it go away? What's going on? I used to get this, that, the other, whatever. I used to have clear communication and now gone. I can't do it. My first question is always going to be, what's going on in your life? Okay. Are you being pushed to the other extreme, to the extreme of the human experience? Are you going through a wedding, a divorce, a funeral, moving, stuff like that? When life happens, when there's a lot of human experiences happening, it can pull you out of the spiritual balance and into the human world. So there's no judgment. It's okay. It happens. Life happens. Okay. We are all going to have extremes. I have extremes. Okay. I will have an extreme spiritual moment, like I told you, and that will blow my mind. And it's absolutely incredible. And I'm so grateful. And I'm going to learn from it. Okay. But then after having that incredible experience, a couple of weeks later, I'm in my kid's graduation. And I'm knee deep into my human experience. And my spiritual and intuitive side kind of sort of fades away in the background for a minute because I need to be in this human experience. I need to be present with my kid and my family. Okay. So we can go to these extremes, just don't stay in them. Okay. When you're working toward a spiritual balance, that's where the absolute beauty is. That's where you're the strongest. So people who are in the spiritual world who have these really human moments can sometimes feel a little bit uh off and get frustrated, like I can access my intuition like I normally do. When things like that happen, just balance it back. Start bringing back the spiritual practices, okay? Because people feel like that and then kind of give up and throw it all away. So start bringing back your spiritual practice. That's what I do. Like after graduation, when it was done, I woke up in the morning, I would do GCP and ground and anchor in. I would do a little communication with my guides. Okay, what am I doing today? I'm open to signs. What do you need me to know today? Right? Intuitively, little practices that you love, what is that, or pulling a card or whatever is what you do. That's what's going to bring you back into balance. Okay. Same with the extreme spiritual. You might go to a retreat. You might, meet your guys out in the woods like I did and have this really intense moment. If you stay there, you're going to feel disconnected with your human body, and your intuition will start to slowly shut down too. But when you're in the mindset of balanced spirituality, that's where you're going to be the strongest, and your life is going to become more balanced, and your intuition will become strongest. Intuition is going to be dull in the extremes, okay? And even for those people that say, wait, if you're in the extreme spiritual, isn't that gonna be bigger messages, the most important information? Not really, not necessarily. And if you stay there, those big intense spiritual moments are going to start happening less and less and less and less. If you fight to stay in that space and keep trying to hold on to these really intense moments, you pull yourself out of your intuition, okay? Because both extremes, both sides pull you out of the strongest intuitive center where you're supposed to be. You have a human body, you have a spirit. Those two things are here together to guide you. So balanced spirituality is the mindset that I have seen the majority of my students who I have had the most intense, wonderful, accurate, experiences that that they can have. They can ask questions, they can get guidance, they can communicate with guides, they can communicate with loved ones. People who have those abilities strengthen, and those are the people who practice balanced spirituality. That was a mouthful. On Friday's Little Bites, I'm going to talk to you about some techniques that you can use to stay in this mindset of balanced spirituality and watch your intuition bloom. Okay?